And hello and welcome to this week's Uplifting Conversations, where I will be talking with the lovely Bridget all around the astrology tips for March. And by the sound of it, we are really going to need some tips due to our previous conversation that Bridget and I have had. So please enjoy the show. If you are watching from Facebook or YouTube, you can comment and we will respond. If you are watching or listening on Mint Radio, please do come and find me on Kay Hamilton on my YouTube channel, where you can look at all my lives. Just press live or click on the notifications, or come and join me in our Essential Oil Wisdom group on Facebook. So my website is khamilton.com if you would like to reach out for me, and we will talk about Bridget and how you can contact her throughout today's show. So welcome, Bridget.
Thank you, Kay. How are you been?
I've been fairly good. I'm not quite sure that my report is the same as yours. Things have been moving nicely for me in Pisces, but it doesn't sound like things for you have been. But the last week or so, yeah, some interesting. Although my daughter had a bit of a scenario with her teenage daughters, which I don't know whether that's got anything to do with Pisces or not, because that seems to be ongoing with teenagers. The Pisces energy probably exasperates it.
Yeah, so the big one that we are feeling already is Saturn moving into Pisces. All right, so we have the Sun in Pisces right now. We have Mercury in Pisces right now. So it's making everything very hard to grasp. But with Saturn, who is all about rules and restrictions and boundaries, moving into a place that is essentially the sea, which is boundaryless. The only way you get a boundary in the sea is the ground, like the shore. So, Saturn going into this place where for most of us, it's our psychic ability. It's our subconscious realms. So a lot of us are going to be feeling challenges to our person, like to us. So, like myself, I have a Pisces rising, so I've struggled big time with this one. Also realizing that Pisces rules hospitals and anesthetics, and it's also the place of our own undoing. So I have noticed people talking about them getting on top of their addictions or getting on top of their health in a way that is stopping them from having to go to hospital. So very much discipline around things that are hard to grasp. So yeah, we start the month, we've got a Cancer moon today. So, and Mercury is conjuncting Saturn. So here we are with our head in the clouds or under the sea as such, but our mind is still forging ahead. So, there's a little bit of, I suppose the tides are buffeting a few of us. So, welcome to March, and it does not stop.
Yes, we've been wondering what March is going to bring, because there's a lot of speculation about March being a very interesting month, from what I can gather.
Yes, well, we actually have 5 planetary movements. So the big ones being obviously Saturn moving into Pisces and Pluto putting its toe into Aquarius. Now that isn't until the further on in the month, the 23rd. Yeah, like 11:20 p.m. on the 23rd. But I mean, even that, we're starting to feel that already with, like Pluto is in Capricorn right now, which is our governments. And now 29 degrees is called an anaretic degree. So we're seeing the last ditch grasps for power. All right. But when Pluto moves into Aquarius, because Capricorn is governments, you're going to see the people fight back. So these last ditch things that we're seeing, restrictions put in place on us. And yeah, I wouldn't be freaking out too much yet. It takes a couple of years for Pluto to actually stay in Aquarius. he's going backwards and forwards. So for these next couple of years, you know, we're going to have lots of authoritarian challenges. So, you know, a lot of them, like, you know, we also need to understand that, you know, there's a lot of talk about digital currency and, you know, our medical records. This has been already in play for a few years now. So again, with the, you know, there's going to be touchy subjects, but it's not like you won't hear the end of it for a while yet. So yeah, once Saturn moves into Pisces, that's it for 3 years. Whereas Pluto, in and out. So yeah.
So, you know, just reflecting on that, some of that wording you talked about, you know, that personal, well, government and government control and authoritarian issues. My understanding is that really we've all been experiencing that all our lives to varying degrees and varying situations and things like that. So no matter what happens, we have this, would you call it external influence that impacts us. So my thoughts around that is that it is so important for us to remain or to become fully empowered so that we can see our truth, if that's what we are feeling strong about, or whatever it is that we need to be fully empowered and not to be feeling depowered and small around these outside influences. So for me, that's where my oils support me, because wherever I feel that my cup is not full, or wherever I feel my cup needs a little bit more flavor, I use these oils daily throughout the day to keep my energy high and to keep me strong. Now, when we hopped on, before we were actually live, you discussed, you know, oils that we're going to, is there an oil for some rescue remedy? So when we know what oils we can reach for, we have something, a tool to support and aid us. So for those moments where you are feeling vulnerable and when you are feeling not strong and your peace has been disturbed, Valor is the oil that is my go-to. So I will simply place a few drops on my wrists, and it's going to be a bit slow to come out. So there it is. Look, and it's a beautiful blue color, all that beautiful blue tansy in there. It's quite a color. So energetically, as I do this, while you're sitting there, Bridget, and beautiful Jean, who's here, and Tiffy, who's here, who has joined us, just sit quietly. We actually often do a Valor reset where we smell this oil, breathe in deep, move it through our aura, and then just simply sit with your hands, with your wrists crossed, and just give yourself just a little bit of time to gather ourselves. So maybe we could all just do that. Just sit for a little moment and give yourself a little bit of time to gather your strength. In the Valor, there's some beautiful oils that are very protective. They are very empowering. They keep you calm, but they keep you strong and steady. When you're ready, you can take a big breath and release anything that is feeling unsettled or tense. And I hope everyone can tune into that beautiful energy.
You know, that's just given me a beautiful segue into something else that I wanted to talk about is, so since August last year, we've had Mars in Gemini. All right. Now, this is, you know, it's an air sign, and Mars being very action orientated and forceful. Now, Aquarius is also an air sign. So, you know, with Mars, it's moving out of Cancer on the 26th of March. But this is just, you know, so we've had the last 7 months of, you know, us in our heads, very social media, because Gemini social media has been crazy. So, you know, I would like to also reinforce that you were just speaking beautifully about, you know, and the blue made me think of the throat chakra and
Yeah.
speaking your truth. But
Yes.
also, you know, Gemini is information. Make sure you're doing your own research from,
Yes.
you know, from peer reviewed places. Do not just listen to anybody on the internet. Like, you know, 7 months of craziness. All right. So when Mars moves into Cancer, we are willing to fight for what we love. All right. Cancer is very protective. You just had those protective words. Now, you know, we've had enough thinking. Now's the time for action and protecting your own. But like I said, making sure that the information that you're acting upon is valid and real. And actually, I will move through. Look, as we're moving through the month, on the 3rd, Mercury moves into Pisces, all right? So this is another reason why I'm saying be sure of the information that you are gathering, because when it moves into Pisces, again, with a lack of boundaries and the delusion that Pisces can give people. It's also amazing for us listening to our intuition, having our speaker tuned into the universe. Oh, you know, there's that line. Whereabouts on the line do you sit? Now, on the 3rd, we also have Mercury conjunct Saturn. So, you know, we are forging ahead in our own, you know, in our own worlds. But sometimes we need to, you know, take that in breath and sit quietly, like we just did with that beautiful gala ceremony. And, you know, Aquarius is all about logic and emotionally detachment. And then we dive into Pisces, which is just a big ball of mushy emotions. So, you know, we really want to just be clear and have our clarity, you know, double check ourselves as well. So, you know, there's going to be some very sensitive things happening. On the 4th, we've got this Venus conjunct Chiron. All right, our old wounds are going to be coming up. We're going to be
Yes.
poked, you know. So reinforcing ourselves through our courage and our bravery. We go back to that valor, you know, being able to speak our truth with the confidence and experience and knowing our worth. You know, Chiron's all about our wounded healing. You know, and once we understand the wound, we then become the teacher. And then we have people like yourself, Kay, that, you know, people listen to you for your experience and wisdom. And this is because you've had your own journey, you've found yourself in this place, and you know your worth and you know what you're talking about. So, you know, it leads us into this full moon on the 7th. All right. So on the 7th of March, we have the full moon in Virgo, okay? It's basically a spiritual and physical health check. All right, we really want to, no nonsense, ladies and gents. If you need to go and have a physical, like a medical examination, or go to your naturopath, or go to an iridologist, or go and get some sort of health check. So my journey this month was I had a little bump that I had been ignoring for 2 years, and it was a basal cell carcinoma. So I've had to go and have surgery and get it removed, and oh my God, it knocked me around badly. But the fact was I ignored it for 2 years, you know, because I just didn't think it was anything. It was a milk dot that just went rogue. But anyway, back to my point being, you know, especially with the sun in Pisces, we can just, you know, gloss over things, and that is not what we want to be doing right now. We need to be sure on our feet and continually trying to be realistic, logical, pragmatic. Saturn in Pisces. There is, you know, the spirituality is going to get real. The fluffiness has gone. You know, the sheep has been shorn. You know, we are down to bare skin. So, you know, it is going to be a big reality check for our community as well, because you know, those who aren't grounded in reality are going to struggle. you know,
Mm.
and that's not a negative thing, but you know, it's real.
Well, I mean, it's like any struggle until we, until we deal with it and transform it, integrate it, and become empowered, it's going to stay there to bugbear us. And you talked a little bit about how, I've lived, well, how I help people, and really my helping people is, one, because I know that's a calling for me. I'm following my inner guidance and inner messages. It doesn't mean that I know everything, but it does mean that through my experience of my life experience and what's worked for me, I can support others to step up into their personal power and become, that fully fledged person who, we often dream of change. For me, and, I love to talk about the change and the courage for change, because if what's not working with us in our life, if we don't deal with that, it's just going to escalate. A bit like this, you talked about the Chiron. I think it was this Thursday. I like to take notes when I'm with you so that I can go back and refer to them over the month. So if I'm looking down, that's what's happening. But you talked about the wounded healer. Now, the wounded healer definitely needs some attention, and we all have it. And we might have dealt with things, but we might still have these recurring memories, instances, things that might trigger us.
Yes.
That need to be shifted. They needs to be dealt with. I'm just trying to think what of an oil. I would start with something like acceptance, because I believe in order for change to happen and for us to have the courage, we've got to come to terms with where we're at, and even using your words, get real with where we're at. Like, okay, yeah, life is not really 100% what I want it to be. So what can I do? And I also love the idea, if you are traveling, via the compass directly north, for example, and you just shift yourself to 1 degree off that direct north, eventually you're going to end up in a very different place to where you were if you had not shifted degrees. So,
Yes.
in other words, for me, change doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to be a big step that we take. It can be just a little step, and we can move forward with that. So I'm just looking. I've
Yes.
got some of my blends here. I can't quite find acceptance, but you did talk about grounding, and that is and how that is going to be really good. You talked about getting out of our head and getting really into our body. And for me, whenever I think of those things, we often talk about the tapping of the top of your head and your tummy button. So you're getting the head brain and the tummy brain activated, and then bring that into your heart brain, and making sure that you've got all these energy centers activated, aligned, awake, and aware. So that's a good little thing that you can do. And obviously, some grounding on your feet is going to help you stay grounded. And as women, we're very easily attracted to the idea, or we easily embody coming from our head. And I'm often referring to this as well. If those busy thoughts are going around in your head and they go round and round. I actually had a client this week, and there was something going around this client's mind, and he couldn't get off that whirligig. So we had to do some processing on that and dig deep and go, well, but hang on, why is this part of you replaying this over and over again? Let's have a little bit of a peek what's going behind the scenes. And we did that, and that opened up the door for him to realize that, oh my gosh, what's happening with this person is actually the root cause of how I feel about it is coming from, something in my childhood. And also, actually, he worked it out, family genetic, family patterns. So it sounds like it's a really good time for us to kind of decide, right, we're going to put all that aside now. and work with us. So if we are grappling with those old family patterns, Trauma Life would be a great oil to kind of release that trauma and to see things for what they are.
Actually, even today, I wrote for the notes for today was that, we are tying up loose ends and making the tapestry of our future possibilities. We're tying up those messy loose ends. And the analogy I used today was, our maternal ancestry would have been the ones teaching us tapestry, all right, teaching us to sew and create our lives. And, life is so different now that, yes, we can acknowledge the patterns of the past, but we can lovingly leave them where they need to be and just move forward knowing that we have skill, but we can make it our own,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
And
like that.
so, yeah, sorry, go.
No, you go. I'm just trying. There's
Oh,
some
okay.
people commenting, so I'm just trying to see who it is.
Oh,
We've got Gay here, Gay Marie, and we have the lovely Suzanne Skyring. And welcome,
ah,
Suzanne. Susan. Nice to see you here. Sorry to mispronounce your name. And Tiffy, like weeds, we must deal with everything as a whole, roots and all. It will eventually grow
I
back. I
love that.
love that. Tiffy has the most
Dandelion, one of the best weeds we have,
absolutely.
So yeah. So okay, another thing I wanted to say about the 7th, all right? So the full moon in Virgo is very logical, very like factual details, it says it how it is. Within 1 hour of the full moon, we have Saturn moving into Pisces. And there goes any illogical thinking that we have. Like, we are in there now. We are responsible for our spirituality. We are responsible for our health, and whether we go into hospital or not. We are releasing our addictions. Now, interestingly enough, have a look back 28 years. Like for myself, 28 to 30 years. So this is a Saturn return for some part of your life. Like we have our own Saturn returns, but just
Yeah.
like women my age I've been talking to are going back into their teenage years. I'm 48. I go back to when I'm 18, and we're going through those same rebellious types of influence. We've gone from, an overall rebellion to a spiritual rebellion, and
Ah,
it's a really, really interesting thing.
so 20, well, I would be almost, I'm 67 and a half, so I would be 40, in my early 40s.
And
So
what
that's
was your life like at that time?
oh,
Were you going
probably
through a massive change?
pretty pretty chaotic. I think I was, in the middle of a DV relationship, and all sorts of
Mm,
crazy things were going on. But that's the past, and
mm,
yeah, there's sometimes still that influence, or sometimes you might think, oh my
mm,
gosh, why did I da 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 da, and you can go down that track.
mm,
But
mm,
actually, one of the things I like to say to people is, really, we've got to draw a line in the sand. We've got to draw that line and say, hey, I've stepped over that, and that's in the past. And sometimes
yeah.
it's just allowing those thoughts to come up and watching them
Mm.
come, and watching them
And
go.
watching them go.
Yeah.
Watch them go. All right, so
Watch
that
them
was
go.
the full moon. So that's Saturn
Yeah.
moving into Pisces on the early morning of the 8th. So around that 7th and 8th mark, there's going to be some upheaval. All right. Now, moving on. Now, the 11th, 12th, and 13th of the month look full on. All right, we have the moon moving into Scorpio on the 11th, and that just starts the trigger action. All right, so on the 12th, we've got Jupiter conjunct Chiron. All right, so the big planet is hanging out with the wounded healer. We also have Venus sextile Mars, so there's going to be some passionate arousal. We've got Venus in Aries with her fishnets on and her boots, hanging out like sextiling Mars in Gemini, so that there's going to be some interesting conversations going on. And we also have Mercury sextile Uranus. So this is the Sunday the 12th. very, very active day to peer behind the curtain and see some of these parts of yourself that you have hidden away, and just allow yourself to be curious. This moon in Scorpio, now ruled by a direct Mars, almost just about to move into Cancer. You were talking before about the gentleman having his thoughts stuck in a rut. That sort of thinking is going to be moving once Mars moves into Cancer. Men have had a rough trot for the last 7 months. You know, it hasn't been comfortable for men. And, you know, there's also been a Mars Chiron thing where men are, well, not just men, please excuse me, you know, the very active, rari parts of females as well have undergone a transformation where we're like, oh my God, I do that. Oh, I can be better from
Yeah.
now on. You know what I mean? So this is one of those times where we're going to be looking behind the curtain and understanding why we were stuck in ruts, being open and mature enough to converse with our partners or with our significant others and have active conversations that are full of growth rather than arguments. You know, there is our beautiful Jupiter understanding planet in Aries, which is all about independence, hanging out with someone that wants to heal. And it's so that, you know, that 11, 12, 13, beautiful, actively transformative. You might go into some prickly spaces, but oh my God, the value in this time is you know, is beautiful. Stand strong, see the truth. Sorry, go.
No, go on. You finish
No,
that.
that was me. That was it. That's for those days, yeah.
All right, thank you. So I was drawn to Australian Blue, and I'm just going to read you what it says here. It's excellent for soothing yourself after arguments, stress, trauma, and shock. It's calming for your emotions, so stimulating your thoughts so you can regain self-control and think clearly. Helps when life throws absolutely outrageous and disgusting events or situations into orbit, whether directly or indirectly via the world events, which you have little control over anyway. It assists you with the feelings of self-disgust about yourself or your life or your family situations. It reestablishes your spiritual connection and helps ground and stabilize your mind, body, emotionally. So I just thought this might be a good one for those conversations, you know, to regain some self-control if you feel that your conversations, you know, often when we're in a relationship with someone, it gets tricky. It is not really that easy to see eye to eye. You know, with the old story, we fall in love, we've got this beautiful romance, this connection with people, and things don't always stay in that vein of feeling so cruisy, cool, calm, and collected. Now, I'm one of those people. Generally, I'm a people pleaser, but then after a while, you realize, hang on, I've been adjusting myself according to your demands, your needs, your requests, your wishes, whatever. And over time, we have to come up with strategies around conversation and around making sure that we're not sabotaging. Now, sometimes I'm okay at that, and sometimes I'm not. It is actually one of my challenges to have a proactive conversation with someone where you can come to some sort of an agreement. So the idea is that we stay cool, calm, and collected and not start flinging, you know, the crap at someone, so that we're not, and it's okay to let loose occasionally, I believe, but rather than keep it suppressed. But you've also got to work out whether you're pushing the other person away, or is your conversation in a receptive, you know, tone, so that the person is willing to receive what you've got to say. That's a whole conversation. that's a whole expertise in its own right.
Recently, I've heard a couple of people talk about relationship conversations in a sense where they're like, all right, are you venting or do you want advice? Like starting the conversation with, how do you want me to be receiving this? And I just love that because, you know, even myself, my husband's very passionate. He's a Virgo. He gets very analytical. And sometimes I react because I have Mercury in Scorpio, so I'm like, I'm going to go deep. But, you know, sometimes he just needs to vent and I need to just listen, you know, so
Yes.
it works both
Ye
ways, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, and it is that, and even that thing of, well, if it doesn't look like you're going to come to some agreement, just that, well, let's just put it on hold for now and go away and give you time to integrate it and,
Mm.
you know, get a sense of things. Just while we're on the subject of communication, I discovered at the end of my relationship with my husband, I discovered at the end this trick of ways to communicate, and it was because my ex didn't really know how to talk. He just didn't really communicate. And I found this book in the library, and it was called Talk to Me. And it was all around repeating back. So if your partner comes in and says, "Oh my God, I've had a lousy day at work," or you know, comes in angry, whatever they're presenting with. So if you just simply say, "Oh, you seem to you don't seem too happy today," and then you know they'll go, so they're being validated, and oh well, I'm
Yeah.
you know I'm not not pleased, or I'm sorry that you're not feeling that good. So rather than saying, stop talking to me like that, or I can't stand this, or can't stand, so you're validating their feelings. And then what will happen is they will start to slowly open up, and they'll say, oh yeah, such and such at work was a dickhead, and blah blah blah. And you go, oh, well, sounds like he's really upset you. Sounds like things weren't real good for you. So you're just validating what they're saying. And then over time, and it worked really well, over time, you got to the bottom of the whole issue. And by the time they've let all that go, well, the steam's gone off the boiler. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's just
I know, no, that's another beautiful segue, Kay. So perfect. All right.
excellent,
The
excellent,
15th of
fantastic.
March. All right,
Yes.
so we've had this one before a couple of months ago, or maybe a month or two. Mars square Neptune. All right, so here we are. Poor Mars again is squaring Neptune, where his beliefs are being challenged. All right, Mars still in Gemini, still very this is my thought. And Pisces, Venus, blah, 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 Neptune in Pisces is up there going, I'm in your subconscious realm. Is that really what you're saying? All right, so I wrote on this one because there's a lot of squares on the Wednesday the 15th. So a very challenging day. So just be very aware of yourself. Is it true? Is it kind? Or is it necessary? And that is a quote by Socrates. So, this is one of those days where we are really thinking twice because things will be misinterpreted, misunderstood, and being aware that all of these words are in effect on this day is half the battle won. And it really is up to you to exactly what we were just saying. Be present in yourself enough to notice if you are physically being triggered. All right, and then explore that quickly. Well, what's going on? Am I reliving my childhood where my parents were always yelling, or have I dropped back into a DV situation, or you're really like quick check. This month is full of quick body checks. Is it your body that's reacting to an old wound because we've still got this Chiron in play? So yeah, what's the reality of the thoughts that you are thinking, especially around this time? Because the next day on the 16th we have the Sun conjunct Neptune. So yeah, beautiful for art and fluffy things, but also what's the reality of the situation? Focus carefully on what needs your attention, because it's going to be a dreamy day where we can just, one of those days where you put the decimal point in the wrong place and it can do horrible things.
Oh
So
dear.
yeah, really around that mid-March, and then even I'm looking at 15, 16, 17, and the 17th, we have Venus moving into Taurus, We have Mercury conjunct Neptune. We have the Sun square Mars. We have Venus square Pluto. Mercury square Mars. And it is the last time that we will have the Capricorn moon conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. The last time for like 240 years. So, Capricorn being our early foundations or our life foundations, we're going to emotionally be, it's not the last time we can explore it, but it's the last really trigger moment where we can be like, oh, we might be starting to see those old foundations crumble, and we can reinforce the things that work for us now. All right. So, a new dawning reality. So.
Oh, I like that. New dawning reality.
Yes. So that was Venus moving into Taurus, where she is at her best. She rules Taurus. She's comfortably sitting back in her body. All right. While Venus has been in Aries, where we could have had some inflammation, we could have had some facial issues, but now we're moving Venus into Taurus. We will be able to speak beautifully. We'll be asked for, our values will be respected. And then 2 days later, we've got Mercury moving into Aries, where, oh my God, we're going to just that combination is us being comfortable enough to speak and ask for what we want. Mercury in Pisces is a little bit like, please, sir, can I have some more? Whereas now it's going to be like, oi, give me more food.
Give me it now.
That's exactly right.
So it's about being assertive, and we're allowed to be assertive, and many of us, I don't know, as children, my story was little girls who ask don't get, so I learned not to ask for things, which I had to learn how to reverse.
That's just not appropriate anymore, is it? Because you are not a little girl, and those couple of days are going to trigger those old feelings. But no.
Okay. And we've got Tiffy here. One I've learnt recently too that I've found useful is that anger is a secondary emotion. So I've been practicing anything but anger, a real eye and heart opener. Fantastic. I love that. Thanks, Tiffy.
Love that.
Absolutely. Anger's usually the result of some sort of frustration, and anger's, when you get to the point where you really don't know how to deal with it, or you just don't, we become angry because we don't know how to assert ourselves in the very first place. So this is what this transformation, this internal transformation is all about. So that is absolutely fantastic, Tiff. Let's be honest. It wasn't ever really appropriate. Even thought was once accepted, even though it was once accepted. Absolutely. So, yes.
All right. So moving on to the 20th. All right. So now the 20th, the 21st. I'll just go on to the 21st, actually, which is the equinox. Yay! Ooh. All right. So the sun moves into Aries at 8:25 a.m. on the 21st. Oh, such a breath of relief. Here we are. It is pretty much the new astrological year. All right. Now we do have the moon in Pisces on that day. So the new moon in Aries is actually 4:20 a.m. on 22nd. All right. So put that one in your diary. The 22nd, that new moon, when you wake up in the morning, write down your hopes, wishes, dreams, independent action, creative force. What is best for me? We've got Hygieia, which is she's an asteroid that I use. She's the health and holistic healing, mental well-being, right? So, we've got Mercury sextile Hygieia, Venus square Hygieia. What does my effort need to look like? All right. That you are totally 100% wholly responsible for your life and your well-being. What are the things that you need to do? It is a doing moon. All right. We're not, like I said, Saturn in Pisces, man, that's hard work on spiritual grounds, all right? Or that subconscious realm needs hard work. So depending on where Saturn is transiting in your chart, that's where that work is going to be reflected. But this 22nd, make it a big asterisk day, get your new moon wish list done straight away in the morning when you wake up, and think strategically and energetically manipulate. I know that doesn't, I mean, to me, that is just, thinking in the positive, thinking in the action orientated. We've left all of our whingy, whiny stuff behind now. There is, everything's out of Pisces except for the Neptune. That's, neither here nor there, just action orientated now. So, and then because the next day, the 23rd, Pluto moves into Aquarius. It is a massive turning point. There is so much energy around these days. Get your sneakers on because you're just going to be charging ahead. Yeah, and a lot of people are going to be feeling revitalized as well, both mentally and physically. So, all right.
And I was thinking of Dreamcatcher would be a nice oil to be using around the new moon. So if and I actually thought, I wonder where my diary is. Maybe we could do some sort of a new moon reset. Anyway, that's another conversation.
I missed the last new moon goals because I was unavailable, but my next new moon one, I'll be doing that wish list thing again as well. So.
Okay, beautiful. So
yeah.
I'm going to put some intention there to our new moon, bringing our wishes into reality so that we're going to be able to ground all our dreams, bring them into reality and get some action on them.
Absolutely. Now, at the beginning of this, I was talking about how, our rights and our freedoms, well, I don't know if I said that exactly, but our rights and freedoms are being encroached upon. Now, in 2008, when Pluto moved into Capricorn, that was the beginning of the downfall of what the current era of governing looked like. All right. We are now like 2008 compared to 2023. How much do we trust our governments now?
Dare I answer that?
So, no. You know what? Everyone's got their own opinion and, everybody's got the right to that. But now when Pluto moves into Aquarius, society will fight back, because governing is not relevant like it was. Our government's locked us away for 3 years and put some pretty harsh ramifications of our rebelliousness on there.
Yes.
And now Pluto in the ultimate rebel place. Woohoo! The next 20 years are going to look vastly different to what, this is a restructuring, a rebuilding of what society looks like. So, there's we've already seen an influx in AI, chat GPT, AI art and imagery has been coming through very strongly on social media. So honestly, guys, here's me again saying, please be aware of the things that you are reading, because they might not have even been created by a real thing, and interestingly enough, the internet is also having a Saturn return. The internet was created while Saturn was in and interestingly enough, AI is based on the culmination of all of the information of the last Saturn cycle. So we are seeing AI come up with very woke statements and very politically correct, because that's what the internet is full of right now. So it's not actually reflecting the future trends because it's only being fed what we've done. You know what I mean?
It's living in the past. I like that. Is a really good point. I love that. It's the past, and it would have less ability to change and be so flexible, wouldn't it? Because we can just turn on a pin. We can change directions in a blink.
Yes.
Whereas I couldn't imagine that AI would keep up with that. Interesting. There's even a website where you can, if you want to do a blog post or something, you go into that and you type in the words that you want to
That's
use.
that chat
And
GPT.
is that what that is?
It's
Okay.
huge. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
It's
you
so
don't even have to
interesting.
write your own content half the time. I haven't kind of
No,
used it at all, but
no.
it is a lot of people are using it. Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did also hear stories though. So they had to turn off an AI because it was getting very inappropriate with a reporter.
Oh, okay.
Very,
Oh,
very creepily inappropriate. So they had to make sure that it wasn't connected to the web and turn it off because it was starting to do its own thing. And we're going to see that. We're going to see
oh.
AI go break its own bonds, you know?
Oh, well, that sounds nice, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That sounds
that's it.
interesting.
That's it. Yeah. So,
So the oil that I touched on while I was, and I haven't got it on me right here, but present time to keep us in the present
mm,
moment.
yeah.
That is where our point of power is, when we are in the
Mm,
present, not worrying about the past, not freaking out about the future, embodying our power within us in the moment and present time. It's a beautiful oil. It's part of our feelings collection, and you can just rub that one really on. I actually like to rub it here and just imagine that I am here in the moment, fully in the now.
that's beautiful, especially when Venus moves into Taurus, you know, because Taurus is the senses, you know. So I'm currently up to the 24th now. So Pluto's
Yes.
just moved into Aquarius. The moon moves into Taurus on the 24th, therefore being ruled by Venus in her own sign. So we're going to have some very sensory experiences. So, you know, I cannot emphasize enough my agreement with you to stay in the now as much as you can. Whenever you
Mm,
feel like you're, you know, I use this analogy a lot in my group: steer the ship back, steer the ship back, you know, because we are going to be buffeted and blown off
mm,
course by all of this planetary movement. We just need to have our end goal. If you're into vision boards or sticky notes on your toilet door, then do that, because
mm.
you really are going to need to, you know, be reinforced. So now on the 25th, Mars moves into Cancer. Oh, it's going to be so good. But with Pluto moving and then the moon in Taurus and then Mars moving, we are going to be willing to fight for the things that we love and that are precious to us. All right. So the thinking is over. It is now about how adamant we are feeling. If that makes sense. There's
Okay.
a ugh, there's a mama bear, like a
Mm.
mama bear fighting for the, you know, to protect.
Saying now's the time, enough is enough.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
absolutely. And another one that is beautiful, from the 25th through until the 31st, we have an aspect called a grand trine. All right. So this is just the energies flowing beautifully with each other. However, it is a trine between Mars in Cancer. So, like I said, being willing to fight for what you love. Saturn in Pisces, having some structure to those beliefs. You know, it can't just be an unfounded belief system. Here we go back to the be sure of what you believe. Do not just randomly pick up someone else's belief and make it your own. That's where
Mm.
the you know, those foundations are going to crumble. And then the South Node in Scorpio. So there is still these vibrations of the past coming through, but it is in such a way that the flow is flowing beautifully. We can see, assess, and deal with things very easily. Like, there's going to be good, you know, we have to be smart and strategic and know our worth and know what we're talking about. Again, with the lack of fluff this month is just amazing, and I love it. So, all right. So, yeah. So now we're getting towards the end of the month. And, you know, the 28th, we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. You know, heading towards the 31st, there's just going to be some spotlight shone upon you for your efforts. So the massive changes at the end of the month, if there hasn't been enough for the whole month, but you will be rewarded for the hard work and effort that you put in. So by the time we finish the month with a Leo moon, we are going to be able to shine, and we will be able to acknowledge our awesomeness and give ourselves a pat on the back for the hard work that we're doing, because, you know, it is a very transformative month. There's a lot of thinking and self-reflection and self-responsibility. Like, you cannot blame anyone else for the position that you are in when you are empowered, because you are not scared to use your words. You have a good sense of presence in your mind. So
I love that. That's beautiful. And to top that off then, if you are wanting to feel, you know, magnified by your purpose, this beautiful bottle is called, and it's hard to read, but it's called Magnify Your Purpose.
Oh, I love that.
A beautiful oil to be using throughout the month to keep that, to keep you strong and in a steady sense of your purpose. And also, it's not just being on purpose, but it's magnifying your purpose. So it may mean that you are ready to step into that role of having an influence on other people, or even just that role in magnifying, you know, your purpose within yourself, so that up the track you can open the door to become an influencer as well. And, you know, my vision always is, imagine if we were all empowered, standing in our power, and connected through unconditional love, where we can accept and appreciate other points of view, but we can also be appreciated for our own personal points of view from other people as well. So, wow, we are in for an interesting time coming into, well, March. We're just embodying that Aryan, that take, you know, when we get to the, what's the crossover time? When do we go into Aries? On
the 21st.
21st of
Yeah,
March.
the 21st. Yeah, so yeah, the 8:25 is the equinox.
Yes.
But that new moon the next morning at 4:20.
Yes.
That is the PowerPoint of the year.
Okay. So that's when
this month, but yeah, the
yes.
new astrological year. So
yeah,
the big one.
So, to cap it off, we need to get ready for that time of action. We need to be prepared. We need to be grounded. We need to be, you know, strong in our energy to get ourselves prepared for this beautiful moment of the new moon in Aries. How exciting. Very powerful. So for anyone watching live or the replay, let's take some refreshing breaths. We've had a whole lot of information here, and this can be just a little time for us to just reset and give ourselves a bit of a moment of appreciation, remembering how wonderful we are from within, and remembering that our loving hearts, you know, can be so expansive. And I just want to say, we never really know what effect we have on other people. We might feel we're not being heard or listened to, but if you hold steadfast in your direction of your personal faith and your direction of your inner transformation, your glow is only going to get brighter and brighter in a world that we are all living in, that really needs as many bright sparks glowing from their beautiful inner heart to touch the lives of other people. So is there anything else you would like to round off with today, Bridget? Anything else?
No, like I said, I just, just be sure be sure of your mind, I guess. You know, there's a lot of illusion, delusion, double checking. Again, with the watch for the AI things you're reading, that might not be real, and I know sounds, even saying it sounds a little bit weird, but it's already started, guys, so
we are living in a very unreal world in so many ways in our current times. So
yeah.
but
Just
we have
know your worth.
Yep. Know your worth, know your worth, honor your worth, and live your worth and create your dreams. So we hope that today's conversation will support your energy throughout March. If you are looking for a reading or something more personal, close up and personal, do reach out to Bridget. And now just remind me again, what's your website or where do they connect with you?
Bridget'sAstrology.com.au. I've had my change now, Bridget'sAstrology.com.au. And then also, you know, please join me in my Lifetime to Level Up. It's a nice little private group, you know, where I'm slowly getting back into the daily astro. And it's just, you know, we all need a little bit of daily guidance. It's a bit of fun, you know, a bit of don't freak out, a bit of we all love you. So
I can't spell astrology. Yeah, no, it's great. I tune in when I can, and it's kind of nice because you get to know the names. Bridget, I can't spell astrology.
ASTROLOGY. Astrology.
Oh,
Don't worry, I had to buy my domain twice because I spelled it wrong the first time.
Buying domains. Oh, yes. Well, that must have been on one of those crazy days.
Pisces rising.
Fantastic. All right. Now, your group is Time to Level Up, isn't it?
Lifetime to Level Up. Yeah, one word, lifetime to level up.
Lifetime to level up.
Yeah.
Please.
So yeah, I do personal readings, but you know, like I said, sometimes just a quick check-in in the morning can really help you navigate some stuff. And you know, especially with March being as prickly as it could be, you know, so just hang in there, ladies and gents. You are all just getting stronger and more resilient. So
absolutely. So with your astrology tips for the month and with your use of essential oils, you should be sailing with right above the tide or above those waves, and things should be feeling light for you. So if you have not got some oils and you would like to grab some oils, reach out and find me, kayhamilton.com, and you can book yourself a complimentary time to chat with me on a one-on-one, or come and find us in our Facebook group, Kay's Essential Oil Wisdom. So thank you very much from my heart to your heart, Bridget, and to all those listening on the live, the replay, the radio. Go forth and make March a marvelous month for you to enjoy. Thank you for joining us.